Arsenal may have just found one of the most exciting young midfielders in world football, but there is one major problem standing in the way. Paris Saint-Germain want him too, and what was once a quiet scouting mission is quickly turning into a transfer battle that could dominate headlines in the weeks ahead. Most people expected Brazil's established stars to dominate the conversation after Morocco's World Cup opener. Instead, much of the attention fell on 18-year-old Ayyoub Bouaddi, whose impressive performance against players like Casemiro, Bruno Guimaraes and Lucas Paqueta has suddenly put him at the centre of one of Arsenal's most intriguing transfer stories. So Gooners, if Arsenal have the chance to beat PSG to one of Europe's brightest young talents, should they go all in? And the most fascinating part of this story is that Arsenal's interest did not begin after that performance against Brazil. According to reports, Andrea, Berta and Arsenal's recruitment team have been working behind the scenes on Bouaddi for well over a year. Contact with the player's representatives is believed to have started long before the teenager became one of the most talked about young players at the World Cup. That suggests Arsenal identified something special in Bouaddi long before the rest of Europe started paying close attention. However, Arsenal are now facing a challenge that could make this deal significantly more complicated. Paris Saint-Germain are also pushing to sign the Lille midfielder and have been heavily linked with the player for months. At one stage, many reports suggested PSG were in a stronger position due to the player's ties to French football and the appeal of remaining in his home country. For Arsenal, this is no longer simply about signing a talented youngster. It is about convincing him to reject one of the biggest clubs in Europe. What may have changed the situation is the message Arsenal have reportedly delivered directly to Bouaddi's camp. Rather than presenting him as a player for the distant future, Arsenal are believed to have outlined an important role within Mikel Arteta's long-term project. That promise appears to have made a genuine impression on the player. Recent reports suggest Bouaddi is now seriously considering the possibility of choosing the Emirates over Paris, something that looked far less likely only a short time ago. That development alone has already started creating debate among Arsenal supporters. Some Arsenal supporters believe Bouaddi is exactly the type of elite young talent the club should be targeting if it wants to compete with the very best teams in Europe for years to come. Others are questioning whether spending around £60 million on an 18-year-old is the right move when there are still other priorities to address this summer. With Arsenal continuing to be linked with attacking reinforcements and several key positions still under discussion, not every fan is convinced this should be where such a large investment is made. And that is where this transfer saga becomes genuinely interesting. Arsenal clearly see Bouaddi as a player capable of becoming a major part of the club's future, while PSG appear equally determined not to lose one of France's most exciting young talents to a direct European rival. The player's stock continues to rise, the competition is intensifying, and the price tag is becoming harder to ignore. That debate is only likely to grow louder if negotiations continue to progress. So where do you stand, Gooners? Would you spend £60 million to beat PSG and secure Ayyoub Bouaddi now, or do you think Arsenal should focus their resources elsewhere? For now, Arsenal remain firmly in the race, PSG are refusing to back away, and Bouaddi's reputation continues to grow after every major performance. What began as a relatively under-the-radar pursuit is now developing into a transfer saga that more and more supporters are starting to follow closely. The next few weeks could reveal just how serious Arsenal really are and whether Arteta and Berta are prepared to make a major statement in the market. But if it comes down to Arsenal versus PSG for Ayyoub Bouaddi, who do you think wins the race?